All right, let's jump right in. As educators, we're always searching for the best ways to guide our students. And today, we're going to explore some really fascinating research material from Dr. Sudhira S.G. that challenges, well, maybe one of the most common pieces of advice out there. We're going to dismantle a myth that, even though it's well-intentioned, might actually be setting our students up for failure. You've heard it a million times. You've probably even said it. I know I have. Follow your passion. It just sounds so good. It feels like the key to a life filled with purpose and joy. It's written on graduation cards, it's the climax of motivational speeches, and honestly, on the surface, it seems like the best advice you could possibly give.
But here's the question we really need to stop and ask ourselves. What happens when a student takes that advice literally? What if they follow it blindly, without any real foundation to back it up? That's when this beautiful, harmless-sounding mantra can become a real trap, leading to a whole lot of frustration and disappointment. And this gets right to the heart of the issue. Cal Newport, in his amazing book, So Good They Can't Ignore You, makes this brilliant point. We've got the whole sequence completely backward. Passion isn't the starting point for a great career. More often than not, it's the result. You know, that hobby a student loves can turn into a chore really fast once the pressure of paying bills gets attached to it, especially if they haven't built up the skill to sustain it.
So, if follow your passion is the wrong map, what's the right one? Well, the real path, the one that works, starts with something else entirely: mastering a valuable skill. As your students get better and better at something, they build up what Newport calls career capital. That capital buys them more freedom, more creativity, more control. That control lets them make a real impact. And then, only then, after all that hard work, passion shows up. It's the natural reward for their dedication.
You know, this isn't just some modern self-help idea. This is ancient wisdom. In fact, some of the most powerful case studies on the dangers of misguided passion come from timeless stories, from the Indian epics. They serve as incredible lessons for us as educators. Let's start with the story of Karna from the Mahabharata. His story is it's such a critical lesson for any student who's driven by a single, all-consuming goal. Karna's passion was to become the greatest warrior on earth. He wanted to master the ultimate weapon, the Brahmastra. But the way he went about it, well, it was flawed right from the very beginning.
See, to get what he wanted so badly, Karna chose a path of lies. He disguised himself as a member of a different social class to learn from a master, Parashurama, who had sworn only to teach that class. He was so focused on his goal, he was willing to do anything to get there, completely ignoring what's known as dharma, the path of what is right, of ethics. His passion was pure, but his methods were not.
And here's the tragic result. When his teacher eventually found out about the lie, he cursed Karna. And the curse was just devastatingly poetic. The very knowledge, the skills he had so passionately and deceitfully fought for would completely fail him in his moment of greatest need. It's such a powerful warning for us. Passion without truth, without ethics, will eventually destroy itself. The skills become worthless.
And this isn't just an isolated story. Think about Ravana from the Ramayana. This guy was brilliant, a great scholar, a powerful king. He had immense skill and power. But his obsessive, unchecked passion for Sita led him to kidnap her, and it blinded him to all reason, all ethics. That one single, out-of-control desire led to the complete ruin of him, his family, and his entire kingdom.
So these ancient stories, they're all pointing to this fundamental choice. It's a choice that's laid out so beautifully in the Upanishads, and it's a choice that we, as educators, absolutely have to help our students understand. The choice between what is truly good for us and what is merely pleasant. The Katha Upanishad calls these two paths prayas and shreyas. Prayas is the pleasant path. It's the easy road, right? It's all about following our immediate desires, chasing what feels good in the moment. And you can see how follow your passion can easily become a call to just follow prayas. But then there's shreyas. That's the good path. It's harder. It takes discipline, it takes wisdom, and it means choosing what's right in the long run, even when it's difficult. This is the path of mastery.
Okay, so if we're going to tell our students to be wary of just blindly chasing passion, what do we give them instead? What's the powerful, practical alternative? What's the better way to think about it? The alternative is called the craftsman mindset, and it flips the whole follow your passion idea right on its head. Instead of asking, what can the world offer me? What will make me happy? The craftsman asks, what value can I build? What can I offer the world? It's a huge shift, right? It goes from self-focused wanting to service-focused building. It's about becoming valuable.
So how do we actually help our students do this? Well, instead of asking, what are you passionate about, we can start asking a different set of questions. Questions like, how can you get a little bit better at your skills every single day? What can you create that someone would find truly valuable? Are you willing to push through the boring parts, the tedium, the hard work? The goal is to help them get so good at something that, as Cal Newport says, the world simply can't ignore them.
And this really clarifies our role as educators, doesn't it? Our job isn't to be cheerleaders for every fleeting passion a student has. Our real job is to be mentors of craft. It's to help our students build resilience, discipline, and skills that will actually serve them for their entire lives, to guide them toward Shreyash, the good path.
I think this is the best way to remember it. Think of it like this. You don't start with a flame. You can't just conjure passion out of thin air. You have to build the fire first. We have to teach our students to gather the wood of discipline, to arrange the kindling of hard work. And if they do that, passion is the beautiful, warm flame that will rise from that fire of mastery all on its own.
So I'll leave you with this question to take back with you. Knowing this difference, this crucial distinction between the pleasant path and the good path, how will you change the conversation with your students? How will you empower them to stop chasing a feeling and start building a foundation of real, undeniable value? Now that is a path worth walking.